Welcome back to Time 100 Talks. I'm Reza Bruner, and I'm joined today by actor, producer, and soon-to-be published author, Lili Reinhart. Lili, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy to virtually be here.
Yeah. So over the last 3 years, you've had quite a wild ride, starting with Riverdale and then last year's Hustlers. Now that the pandemic has given you some time to sit back and breathe, what has it changed about your hopes or expectations going forward?
Oh, I think not even for what I want to do next. This time has just been exactly what you said. It's been my entire life has done a 180 in the last 3 years. And I've never actually had a moment to stop and sort of process it all. So even though the circumstances are horrendous for a lot of reasons, I'm actually trying to make the best of a bad situation. And I'm very thankful that I've had this time to just kind of step back and process. And I mean, I've done a lot of work on myself, which has been really wonderful, and I feel like I've grown a lot in this time as a human being. So I'm actually very thankful that I've had this time that I otherwise would never have had. 4 months off to kind of sit and look inward, basically, and reflect. And so that's what this time has been for me. And I think moving forward, I think just in general, I mean, a lot has happened during this time. Obviously, there's been a lot of, the Black Lives Matter has been a big part of the last couple months as well. And I think hopefully we will begin to see change in the industry when everything kind of opens up again and when we go back to work. Hopefully there's change reflected in that.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my next question is, looking at the industry as a whole, how do you think both the pandemic and the social movements in the US lately may shape or shift the focus of Hollywood right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think, to be honest, I'm gearing up to go back to work for Riverdale, and it's stressful because I know people who are already back to work, and COVID is making things very complicated. There's a lot of safety precautions, as there should be, but so it kind of makes the entire environment a little bit more stressful. So I really don't know what it's going to be like. I hope it's not too bad. I hope we can still find joy in what we're doing. I'm sure we will, obviously, just with masks on our face, basically. But otherwise, I feel like as a producer now and as someone who's trying to develop projects of my own and just be a producer on projects, not even act in them, it's very much a priority for me to make sure I'm implementing what I've learned the past couple months from doing Instagram lives with Black activists. I've learned a lot, and it's been incredibly eye-opening. And I think if you haven't learned a lot during this time, then to be honest, you're being quite ignorant. And I think I have become very aware of my privilege as a young white woman in the industry. And so I want to do what I can in my power, obviously, to make this industry more racially diverse. I mean, I think collectively as a whole, we as an industry should be trying to do that, obviously, and tell more Black stories and not look at Black characters as one size fits all. It shouldn't be just such a stereotype. So that's something that obviously is a priority for me going forward when I'm looking at projects to consider.
Yeah, you mentioned your new direction as a producer, and I know you have a new project coming out soon, Chemical Hearts, that is your first big producer credit. What was it that made you want to take on this kind of more behind-the-scenes role?
I like control. No, I'm really not. I'm really not a control. Now I sound like a control freak, but I'm really not. Like people, in my everyday life, I'm really not a control freak. But I like to know that my opinion as an actor matters, and a lot of times, when you're in a mass-produced television show or you know, in a huge studio film as an actor, you're not really making any executive decisions. You're not making any behind the scenes creative decisions. And that's something that I've always really wanted to do and kind of have naturally sometimes overstepped, like, you know, oh, should we maybe, you know, change this or do this? Like I've always kind of, you know, put my opinion out there, whether it's wanted or not. But so to actually be in a position where I was able to share my opinion and know that it was being listened to and appreciated, and that was what was expected of me, it was really a wonderful, I loved it. And I loved being a part of something from start to finish. It was so gratifying, and just, you know, to look back and I can't believe the movie's not even out yet, because I've seen the movie like 7 times and I'm just very excited for the world to see it. But it was such a wonderful experience producing, and just kind of being in every little part of it was really special.
Yeah. I also feel like you have been producing your things like your social media in a way over the last few months, especially, you know, every young person is a brand director for themselves in some way, but you have also been so active with your Instagram lives and bringing on voices and activists, especially Black creatives and Black Lives Matter representatives. And I wanted to ask you about that experience of using your platform to elevate certain voices. What brought that on, and what do you think you've learned mostly from that so far?
I mean, I think it truly came from me feeling, I think it was right after we did the collective, like, blackout. Everyone posted a black picture and, you know, in support of BLM. And I kind of was sitting there saying, what is this actually doing? This isn't really doing anything at all. This is saying, I'm not racist, which is great, but also anyone can do that. So, you know, I figure at this time when I had nothing to do at the time, I was sitting around watching America's Next Top Model. So it's, you know, I was like, let me do something valuable with my time. And I just tweeted, I was like, send me names of Black activists that I can talk to that don't have a huge platform, that would really benefit from talking to an audience that they otherwise wouldn't have been able to reach. And so I just kind of, I really didn't think too much of it. It was very casual. I reached out to a couple people and I wanted them to, you know, I just wanted to have a conversation. I wanted to learn. And I've learned an incredible amount, actually. It's been very, very eye-opening, and is a conversation that's still being had today within my family, within my friend group. Just in my own thoughts, I'm very cognizant of this movement, and also the part that I've played as a white woman, and not understanding my privilege, and I really have just I've gotten to know such wonderful people through doing this. I've made friends, and as someone who has social anxiety and is like a very anxious human being, and I'm not very sociable, I'm just not a very social human being. This really put me out of my comfort zone to go in front of however many thousands of people that wanted to watch that day in my Instagram live and just have a conversation with someone that I've never met. It also pushed me personally to just grow and kind of explore that. And it was really wonderful and beneficial for me, I think. And I've really made a lot of beautiful friends over doing that.
Well, it feels to me like you're part of a generation of creators and actors in Hollywood right now who are really interested in this change, and also interested in working on a lot of different projects, including, for instance, you have this new poetry book coming out this fall, Swimming Lessons. Poetry and writing are obviously very introspective crafts. So I was curious what you learned about yourself in the process of writing that book.
It was a very vulnerable, I didn't realize how vulnerable I would feel until people that I knew were suddenly reading my book. And I was like, oh, this is like someone looking into my journal. Like it's not invasive because I've given it to them, but it feels like I'm like, how do you like it? You know, like I'm like scared to get their feedback almost, but that's kind of that's really the beauty of poetry is being just at your most vulnerable and basically writing from your heart and from your own experiences. And I've continued to write during this entire pandemic. It's been not, you know, I'm not sitting at my desk like creating these masterful poems during this time, but it's been such a growth period for me that inherently, yeah, I am writing a lot. I am exploring a lot. I'm journaling. I'm taking a lot of notes on my phone, just of things that are coming into my head and things that I'm learning. And it's just been, it's been a beautiful process, and I'm excited for my book to come out. It's nerve-wracking, but I hope, and the reason why I wanted to publish my poetry was just so I could share it. I wanted to bring comfort to people who were looking for it. I know as a young girl, I started reading poetry because I felt lost. I felt depressed and misunderstood, and like I couldn't really talk to anyone about it or about what I was going through. And suddenly I opened up this world of emotional, romantic, hopeful people. And it was like, wow, it was very therapeutic to get lost in this book and in this world of someone who felt to the depth that I feel. Mm-hmm. So it was very therapeutic for me. And so I guess my hope in publishing my poetry is that someone can find comfort in what I say and my experiences.
Mm. So you are an actor, you're a producer, an author now. Are there any other projects or other things on the horizon that are exciting to you, that's giving you hope, things to look forward to?
I mean, I do have things in the works slowly. I mean, I would have loved to have filmed something. I film Riverdale for many months out of the year, so I have very little time off in between seasons, and so I definitely try to take advantage of that. Last year I filmed Hustlers and Chemical Hearts in my one little hiatus, which was amazing. So during this time I haven't been able to do anything, which hurts, because I obviously want to keep working. I want to keep, it's hard to, go from Riverdale to Riverdale. It's you feel a little creatively stunted in a way. That's just how it is for someone like me who is such a performer and wants to act, wants to keep playing characters and exploring roles and making films. So it's been hard for me to not be able to do that, but I'm incredibly lucky that I have Riverdale to go back to. I know a lot of people don't have a job to go back to, so I'm very lucky. But I have been working during this time as a producer on certain things. Obviously can't really say what, but hopefully something that I will film next year after season 5 of Riverdale. So yeah, there's definitely things on the horizon. I've already basically written an entire second poetry book. So hopefully if swimming lessons does well, there will be another poetry book on the horizon.
Great. Cool. Well, with that to look forward to, thank you so much, Lili, for taking the time to join us for Time 100 Talks.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
We're going to